Namaste and welcome to this special edition of our program Info Plus on Himalayan Television with me, your host, Rebecca Chetri. We have traveled all the way from Nepal to New Delhi to bring you an exclusive conversation with Ambassador of Sweden to Nepal. Nepal and Sweden shared diplomatic ties since long decades and have maintained a friendly and cooperative relationship. Coming to you straight from the Embassy of Sweden in New Delhi. Namaste, Excellency. Hi.
Namaste. Welcome to the Embassy of Sweden.
Thank you so much for welcoming us here at the Embassy of Sweden.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Please come.
His Excellency Jan Thesleff is a seasoned Swedish diplomat with over 3 decades of experience. He currently serves as Sweden's ambassador to India and is also aggregate to Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Born in 1959, he has held key postings in Syria, Japan, Egypt, Tunisia and the Gulf nations. His extensive career includes serving as ambassador to Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, Libya and Tunisia, along with roles in the European Union. Beyond diplomacy, he was Sweden's Commissioner General for Expo 2020 in Dubai, promoting Swedish innovations on a global stage. On October 5, 2023, he officially assumed his role as Sweden's ambassador to Nepal, presenting his credentials to President Ramchandra Patel. Sweden and Nepal established diplomatic ties in 1960, while the Swedish Embassy in New Delhi oversees diplomatic affairs and Honorary Consulate General in Kathmandu supports consular and trade matters. Committed to fostering trade, sustainability and cultural exchange, Ambassador Jan Thesleff continues to strengthen Sweden's relations with Nepal and the South Asian region.
Info Plus for genuine information.
Your Excellency, Namaste and hey.
Namaste.
Welcome to the show Info Plus on Himalayan TV, Nepal's first diplomat series, which has been running since 20 years. And we are so privileged to have you here on our show. And thank you so much for welcoming us for this program at the premises of Sweden Embassy here in New Delhi, India.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great honor to be on your show. And Nepal is a country that's very close to my heart. And I'm very happy to talk to your viewers today.
To start with, Your Excellency, Nepal and Sweden shared diplomatic ties since 1969. Could you please give an overview history of the bilateral relationship between two countries?
Yeah, we have almost 65 years
Yes.
of relations by now. So it's a long-standing relation. And it's a relationship that spans a lot of different areas. I think we share our attachment to democracy, to the rule of law, to human rights, to equality issues, and that has really kept us together. Also, we are both, let's say, middle-sized countries. So I think we have, on the international stage, we have similar priorities when it comes to upholding international law and working through the United Nations, etc. Overall, we have also a history where Swedish cooperation with Nepal has developed over the years, both in economic terms, but also when it comes to development.
How have this relationship evolved over the year?
No, I think it has evolved in many ways. I think that during times of difficulty, for example, at the catastrophic earthquake in 2015. Sweden came to the rescue, both bilaterally, but also through its aid through UN agencies, when it came to rebuilding the infrastructure of Nepal. Right now, we see, I think, two different tracks. One is a growing Swedish interest to do business with Nepal. Swedish companies are more and more interested. And secondly, something that I attach a lot of importance to, and that is that Nepalese students are choosing Sweden as a destination. We've had a strong increase when it comes to Nepalese students, especially in two subjects. One is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, so the STEM subjects, and the other one is in agriculture. So we had a strong increase, 25% only this year.
Sweden has been an important partner in Nepal's development, particularly in sectors like economic development and education. In your point of view, what has been the impact of that?
I think there's been a strong impact, actually, and as I mentioned, we see more and more Nepalese students wanting to come for certain specialties to Sweden. We see it in the collaboration between government agencies. The Swedish Energy Agency has a close cooperation with your Ministry of Forests and the Environment, for example. They actually even concluded an agreement at COP29 in Baku. So we see different kinds of, both when it comes to individuals, students, when it comes to universities, when it comes to government institutions. And I think that's a sign that we have mature and prosperous relations between Nepal and Sweden.
How do you assess the state of current trade and economic relationship between Sweden and Nepal?
It's a growing relationship. I went to Nepal with a trade delegation in May last year, and I had with me not small companies, but major companies like Saab, like Hexagon, like Hitachi Energy, but I was also accompanied by the Swedish Energy Agency. And we participated in the EU-Nepal Business Forum, but we also had a lot of individual business meetings. And we see a number of areas where Swedish companies could collaborate with Nepalese counterparts. Some of them are in hydropower. I mean, we have companies, Hitachi Energy is one, of course, ABB is another one. Saab, when it comes to civil aviation, they are proposing a remote tower solution for Nepal to improve flight safety. Hexagon is a company proposing for dam safety and disaster management. So that's just a few examples where we want to collaborate and where we see an interest. Also in e-vehicles, it strikes me when I visit Nepal how many e-vehicles that are in Nepal.
Right now.
And we also have the technology for charging stations. We have companies like Volvo, of course, that could be of great interest for your country.
What are the opportunities for the entrepreneur if they would like to work together closely with Sweden?
You know, Nepal is a country with a very talented population, a young and talented population. If I look at a company like Hitachi Energy, they already have 150 software engineers in Nepal working not only for Nepal but for the world. So that kind of talent pool I see is really a great attraction for Swedish companies in collaborating with their Nepalese counterparts. How can we make young Nepalese not go abroad but stay in their country, work for Nepal but also work together with international companies? I think that is what we really want to see happening in the coming years.
That's true. Your Excellency, Sweden has been deeply connected in supporting development aid to Nepal. What is your views for that, and what has been the result of being supportive?
I can give you a few examples, actually. When it comes to Nepal, but also many other countries, including mine, the environmental challenges are very important.
That's true.
Climate change is affecting us all. Sweden is one of the biggest contributors to the UN Green Climate Fund, which is benefiting Nepal. As I mentioned, the Swedish Energy Agency has concluded a bilateral agreement with your Ministry for Forestry and the Environment when it comes to trading in emission rights. So what does that mean, trading in emission rights? It actually means that Nepal will have additional revenue to finance its climate projects. So that's, let's say, on the government side.
Yeah, that's true.
But we also have social entrepreneurs. And I would like to highlight one of them. And that's a company, a social a company in Nepal called Build Up Nepal. It was founded by a Swede, Björn Söderberg. And it actually was founded after the earthquake in 2015. And he brought a technology that had been developed in my country at the Chalmers Technical University in Gothenburg.
Initiations. And what has been the results and impacts you have seen so far?
Well, of that project, there's been a strong impact because they are building, they are providing the manufacturing facilities to Nepalese villages all over the country in a very basic manufacturing process where you have, you don't use electricity, it's a manual process, and you build the building blocks for constructing houses. And these houses with the building blocks that they manufacture actually resist earthquakes and shakes much better. So you don't have to have the massive damage of infrastructure that we have seen in the past. So it's something that creates employment in the villages in normal times, and at the same time provides a lot of safety during natural catastrophes. So I think that's a good example, and it's a company, it's a social company, Swedish founder, but benefiting Nepal.
Climate change has been a global issue right now, and Nepal has been particularly vulnerable in that case. And Sweden is a global leader in sustainable development. What do you think Nepal should do further to improve the situation?
No, I know that the Himalayas in general have been suffering a lot from climate change, and I think there are a lot of similarities between Nepal and Sweden. We are both mountainous countries. We are countries that rely very much on hydropower. And so I think that the area of clean energy, hydropower in our case, is an area where we should collaborate even more. I think there are also solar and wind power projects that could be very beneficial. But then also we should join hands, as we have done in the past, when it comes to the big international processes. Now we have the upcoming COP30 in Brazil, and that will be our next big opportunity to show unity on climate issues. And then, as I mentioned, the bilateral agreement between the Energy Agency and your country is also an important step.
So what role is Sweden's playing in Nepal's climate change? And is there any new project or agreement going on the pipeline?
Yeah, I think the big new project that's actually just been launched is between the Swedish Energy Agency and your country. Okay. And that is something that will be very beneficial for Nepal because it will provide additional revenue to Nepal to finance its climate projects. So that, I think, is the one of the ongoing projects that is very promising and that I look forward to follow. Okay.
So in future we can see lots of good changes between two countries, Sweden and Nepal.
Absolutely, and I think we will see good changes, good developments, more engagement, both between companies, but also between agencies, government agencies, and as I mentioned, NGOs and social enterprise.
There is a strong cultural exchange between Sweden and Nepal, and many Nepalese students have been going to Sweden for the further education. How can we further make the connections between two countries, people-to-people connections between two countries through cultural exchange program? And is there any plan further in future for this?
Absolutely. Right now we have 2,000 Nepalese studying in Sweden, which is, for a country of the size of Nepal and for a country the size of Sweden, quite considerable. The number of students have gone up by 25% in just 1 year. Okay. And as I mentioned, specifically in maybe the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects, but also in agriculture. So that is, I think, a trend that will go on. We have participated in educational fairs in Nepal. The EU has been a driving force behind these educational fairs, and Sweden has participated. And something that is very important in Nepal for us is a very active alumni network. That is students, researchers who have been to Sweden, and when they come back to Nepal, they bring with them their experiences and they engage in an alumni network. And that alumni network, I think, is you know, a good a start for an even more increased cooperation academically, because they can tell their own story. They can tell what did they learn, what was the experience in Sweden, and what did they bring with them home again. So, and actually, just as a small story, the alumni network was selected as the best alumni network in the world for Sweden last year. Okay. So we had a celebration in Kathmandu for that.
And I'm sure this will help to further strengthen the ties between Sweden and Nepal in coming years in a more better way.
People to people is so important.
Yes, that's very important.
And you know, when I visited Nepal last time and I meet some of your leaders, both in NGOs but also in government, some of them have studied in Sweden, some of them have been there for seminars, and as soon as you meet, you have that connection, you immediately feel, here we have a good, you know, a good ground for further cooperation, because they know us and we know you.
That's true. Sweden has been known for its tourism and technological advancement, Your Excellency. Do you see any potential in Nepal in those sectors? And how can we boost tourism in both the countries, since Sweden is also very rich in culture, heritage, so as Nepal is very rich in culture and heritage. We have a beautiful mountains and Himalayas, birthplace of Gautam Buddha.
Yeah.
So how do you think we can boost tourism in both the countries?
I think the tourism potential is enormous. Sweden, or Swedes in general, are nature-loving. People love trekking, love adventure tourism, love to discover the heritage of other countries. I think that I already now see that more and more tourists are coming. That's one reason also why we work on supporting the airports of Nepal, because I think connectivity between countries, having easy access to Nepal is very important to encourage tourism. Whenever I come to Nepal, I really enjoy so much your nature and your culture. And each time when I leave, I wish I had spent more time to learn more and to get out of the cities, also to see the beautiful landscape and to meet the people.
Sweden and Nepal further explore economic opportunities, especially in sectors like innovations and green technology and trade. What is your view on this, Your Excellency?
Sweden is one of the top 2 countries in the world when it comes to innovation. We had fostered a climate, an ecosystem that has been very favorable to innovation. I see the same force that we have in our country also in Nepal. I think that with your talented youth, who are very technology savvy, many of them, there are great opportunities to have innovation coming out of Nepal. Also entrepreneurship, to encourage young Nepalese not only to look for employment, but maybe to create their own employment, small companies. We see it quite a lot in the tech field. And with the modern technologies and the way the modern economy works, you can very easily live and work in Nepal, but at the same time work for a company, be it in Sweden or in the US or somewhere else, because of connectivity. So I think that we should make use of those openings that we have now and see how we can, people can stay in their own culture, stay with their families, and at the same time work for international companies. And innovation will be a driving force for Nepal, I'm fully convinced.
So what is the suggestions for the people who would like to grow their business and work closely with Sweden?
I think that there are many suggestions, and most of the suggestions actually come from the people themselves, because they when they study or when they work, they see the need for improvements in certain areas. It can be in social area, but it can also be in technology. So I think that to encourage the curiosity, the innovative spirit of youth, not only when they are at university, but already when they are at school, it's important to make people think freely, to innovate, to be open to new ideas. And I think that together with education, be it education in Sweden or somewhere else or in Nepal, will give birth to this kind of, let's say, innovative ecosystem that is needed. Then, of course, the government also need to put in place the legal system that will encourage people to start their own companies, microfinancing, other things that might come.
Nepal and Sweden share a common values, particularly in terms of democracy, peace, and human rights. How do you think both countries can collaborate closely on international forums such as United Nations?
You're so right, and I think that whenever we turn on the news or television or whatever today, we see how the multilateral system is coming more and more in question, more and more under threat. And I think that countries like Nepal and Sweden should collaborate even closer today than in the past to defend those values that you mentioned, democracy, rule of law, equality, etc. And that to foster a culture of peace and friendly relations. So I think that really we are under pressure to work even more closely together, be it in the United Nations or in other fora also.
So are there any global issues where Sweden and Nepal can work together closely in coming days? Since we have a long history together, I think we can do a lot together.
I think in the area of sustainability and climate. I think that's an obvious area for us to collaborate even closer. I'm sure there are other areas too, but especially in that area where we really have common challenges, but also we can find common solutions.
As we look forward, Your Excellency, what are the areas of collaboration between Sweden and Nepal we can work together to further strengthen the bilateral ties between two countries?
I think there are a number of areas. I think hydropower is one, improving the efficiency of hydropower, improving the efficiency of electricity transmission, not only generation but also transmission, which is linked to this also on e-vehicles. On Nepal is a big country with some regions that are far off from the cities. So charging stations is something important. Flight safety, airport safety, I think is one issue that is of importance. Dam safety, you have a lot of hydro dams. So we have Swedish technology, Swedish companies that are very advanced in dam safety. When it comes to disaster management, because we know that now and then nature will affect us, and then you have to be prepared for the management of such situations. Also there we have technologies that could be very useful for Nepal. So that's just a few areas where I think we can do even more.
As I mentioned, few areas like dam, hydropower, electricity, etc. So are there any initiations or projects do you envision in the coming years to work with Nepal?
Absolutely. The companies I mentioned before, they are all engaged with Nepal in different ways. Some of them already have up to 150 employees in Nepal, working not only for Nepal but also for the world. So there are companies that see a great benefit in not only trading with Nepal but also being established in Nepal and doing more. I'm going back to Nepal in a couple of weeks, and then also I will explore even more possibilities, both with private enterprise but also with your government.
I believe we have visited Nepal many times.
Yes.
So how do you feel about the country Nepal and its people?
You know, every time I come to Nepal, I'm struck by, first of all, the friendliness of the people, the strength of the youth. I think that your young population is, apart from your natural resources, is a great asset for your country. They are they are active, they are entrepreneurial, they are curious, and as you know, curiosity is the most important feature you can have. So that strikes me. But the friendliness and the openness, openness to the international community, we always feel very welcomed. I feel that Sweden has a good brand name in Nepal. So all these things make me also, when I come back to Sweden, I talk about Nepal. I said that go to Nepal not only for business, go there for tourism, discover this fantastic country.
So did you find any similarities between two countries when you visited there?
A lot of similarities.
In terms of food, culture?
Food and culture maybe, but also, you know, we live, a large part of my country is forest covered, is mountainous, sometimes quite rough weather conditions. And if we look back in time, just 120 years back in time, Sweden was a poor country, a poor agricultural, agrarian country. Today we are one of the most developed welfare nations. So I see the journey that we have made is also a journey that can be made by Nepal. So a lot of similarities. And sometimes, you know, the scarcity of resources and difficult weather conditions, etc., can spur and can be a driving force behind development. Because when you have little, you have to be innovative, you have to be creative, and you have to provide solutions. And that I have seen in my country, and that I also see in Nepal.
Your Excellency, every diplomat faces challenges in your life. So even you must have faced many challenges in your life during your journey as a diplomat. So what are the challenges you faced in the relationship between Nepal and Sweden?
You know, I never focus on differences, I focus on similarities. And I think that so many people, they mistake two words. The one word is different, and the other one is difficult. And of course we are different. There are differences between our countries. We are far apart geographically. But that doesn't mean that our relations are difficult at all. We are different, but differences bring us together. So really, similarities, not differences. When I've been in Nepal, and I never faced any issues that we couldn't overcome, that we couldn't discuss, that we couldn't solve. Our friends in Nepal are very accommodating, they are forthcoming. No, I focus on what keeps us together.
How do you think both the countries can work together for the growth and prosperity, since we share a long history together?
You know, we have 65 years of relations. I think we should build on those successful years. I think we should build on the modern features of our countries. We are not talking about history, we are talking about the future.
True.
And I think we should develop our economic relations. I think we should develop our people-to-people relations. We'll be very happy to welcome more students. They're very talented, they're very successful. So if we can work on business, education, and people-to-people exchanges, then we have a bright future ahead of us.
With the recent US government change, how do you see the impact of those changes in Sweden foreign policy?
You know, each country elects their own government. That is a part of democracy. We as diplomats, we as countries, we relate to whatever administration is in whatever country. It's not, we will find a way. We have always had excellent relations with the US. Our business relations are very close. Our people-to-people relations, very close. We have established a good relationship with the new US administration. We'll continue to do so. That's part of, you know, international relations. And we do that with every country. So, you know, it's just a way of adapting, getting to know one another when new people come into office. They do it with us and we do it with them.
Finally, Your Excellency, what message would you like to give to the viewers who are watching you right now on Himalayan TV?
I would like to give the following message to your viewers, and that is that Sweden is a partner of Nepal. We have been a partner of Nepal for a long time, and we intend to be a a true partner to you in the future. I think that we have shown, both Nepal and Sweden, through good times and more difficult times, that we support one another. My message is, look at Sweden as a modern country. Look at Sweden's advantages. We will do the same with Nepal. And I see a bright future for you and for us.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us, Your Excellency, and we wish you all the best for the good work between Nepal and Sweden. Thank you so much, and hey.
Thank you very much.
Info Plus, for genuine information.
That brings us to the end of this special interview with the Ambassador of Sweden to Nepal. Here in New Delhi, it has been a privilege to travel from Nepal to bring you this exclusive conversation highlighting the growing friendship and cooperation between our two countries. To our viewers, thank you for watching Info Plus on Himalayan TV. Until next time, take care and namaste.
Info Plus, for genuine information.